Hi, and welcome back to Rate That Album, the back and forth album review between myself, Joe Fremming, and my good pal, Paul Muad'Dib. Paul, how are you doing?
Well, I gotta ask the question: was this retribution for Lindsey Buckingham?
Nothing will be retribution for Lindsey Buckingham.
I kind of feel like you're angry at me with this one.
Yeah, so I decided to go back to an album that I listened to when I was about 15 years old for the first time. It was a side project from Ministry's Al Jorgensen and Paul Barker. It's a band called the Revolting Cocks. I don't know what this cock thing is, Paul. I think it's some sort of male strip show.
I think you're right. I think isn't that something that they focused on in Magic Mike?
I think so. Yeah. So. So yeah, it was a weird. So this is an album. I got into this album. Like I said, at 15, I'd say 15, maybe 16. You were not going to be a popular kid in high school if you're listening to bands called Revolting Cocks, 10,000 Homo DJs, 9 Inch Nails, and Ministry. So I was doomed forever to be an outsider. I came across this band because I was big on a Chicago area label called Wax Trax. Now, Wax Trax put out a whole bunch of really weird industrial music, and they even put out at least a single by Divine, the muse of John Waters. And I believe on that single, she covered Think You're a Man by the Vaseline. So, like, this is a weird label that put out a box set called the Black Box, and I bought it. It's hard. It's not easy to find anymore because physical media is dead, and this was the only time a label like this could put out, have the balls to put out a box set.
Well, it's a true story.
Yeah. So I started. So I got into it. There was a few tracks on this album I really liked. I had it in my collection, and then I just kind of forgot about it, and I'd listened to a few things here and there. I have the title track, and the song "Stainless Steel Providers" on a couple mixes, but other than that, I have not really revisited this album. So I figured, what the hell, Paul? Let's go back to early '90s industrial. So obviously, you have thoughts.
I do. I like industrial. I do. I really like industrial, but this was not something that I enjoyed.
It's a hard album to get into.
It is. I like industrial, but there's a difference between what I think is industrial and noise. This was more noise rock than I thought of industrial rock, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
With it was, lyrics are a big thing for me, and I've always knocked an album when I can't understand the lyrics. This is one of those. I mean, even with 9 Inch Nails, like even when Trent Reznor's yelling, I know what he's yelling about, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Or even the person that was always kind of linked to Jorgensen as like a rival was Rob Zombie, and you can with White Zombie, you could still.
Yes, and I love White Zombie, more than Rob Zombie. I preferred White Zombie over Rob. I know some people don't understand that, but there's a difference. This one was challenging for me. Let's put it that way. But I still want to know more about it because I understand that it's a supergroup. Yeah,
well, so Revolting Cocks basically it started out as like a side. It basically is a side project, but it started. The origins go back to 1984. when Jorgensen met up with Belgian industrial dance group Front 242. They got together, decided to work on some side projects with a member called Richard 23. Now this is like weird because the thing that people think of industrial really has its roots in club music.
Right.
And you hear a little bit of this, especially the repetition comes out of club music from the 80s, dance music. And Ministry was a synth pop band in the 80s. Like, they're not, if you're thinking of New World Order and So What and, Just One Fix, go listen to their first albums. It's different by a country mile.
And I knew that. I knew Ministry started as a synth pop, and I had a buddy of mine that was big into the industrial club scene, and actually explained a lot of this to me when me and him worked at a gas station together. We'd have late night music talks, and he was big into the Wisconsin industrial scene in Madison, which I guess had a huge industrial scene in the 80s.
Well, yeah, it feel like, I'm not an expert on it, but it feels like it was really like it hit the Midwest for going from Cleveland to Chicago to Milwaukee, even a bit. Like, there's still like an industrial club, like goth club in Minneapolis. I forget what it's called. Maybe Ground Zero. I've been there.
Ground Zero. I've
been there a couple times. I enjoy it, but I'm one of those weirdos. But
no, I love Ground Zero, actually. I really enjoy it.
But so industrials, its roots are in club dance music, and so you take that, then you take kind of like the goth and like the broodiness and moodiness of The Cure and Joy Division, and then those started to merge with this club music, and then then it evolved to putting a heavy metal bent over it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's like this perfect agglomeration, and there's some that works really well, and I think Ministry did it really well with Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste, Psalm 69. Trent Reznor, obviously, he's won Academy Awards for his
Trent Reznor is to me, Trent Reznor is like
the high watermark.
The high watermark of industrial music, hands down.
Yeah. He was also a touring member of Revolting Cox.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, like I said, so this evolved, and so when you listen to this on top of beneath the noise and the layers of like guitar, and one of my biggest complaints is repetition are these kind of dance beats. Mm-hmm. They're more prevalent on other industrial groups. This one just seems just straight up aggressive.
Yes, it's a very aggressive album.
It's a very aggressive album, and so in the early 90s, this started blowing up, and it hit me and my friend. Well, my one friend who actually listened to it, besides you, I think it was like me, you, and Joe. The only people listening to like this and watching David Lynch movies.
Right. Absolutely.
We were the cool kids.
We were the cool kids. We certainly were. Yeah, no, it's very interesting that we were running the same music, the same TV shows, but we really didn't connect till after high school.
Yeah. So I came across. I haven't listened to it in some time, and I wanted a reason to revisit because you said you liked industrial, and I was like, I've got an industrial album. That's like me. That's like me with saying I like some Fleetwood Mac, and you're like, all right, here's this Lindsey Buckingham album. It's just an assault on the senses, and straight up, I'm just going to agree. It's not my favorite album. There's parts, a lot of it I really don't like just because of how repetitive it is, and there's not a lot of
repetitive.
The only hooks are really on the title track, which I love though.
That was the thing. Like the first track, I was like, okay, I can get into this. Like, yeah, absolutely. And then, give me just a second to pull up the track listing. I want to pull up the track listing, and then Let's Get Physical
The Olivia Newton-John cover.
Which, unless I had known that it was it, like I never would have known it was it. And then there was In the Neck, and it was about it was when Get Down kicked in that I went, oh boy.
It's a hard album to sit and listen to. That's why, like, when I said before, I have like tracks on mixes. That's by design. I kind of, like, in the back of my mind, I always kind of remembered this is not even just only difficult, but it's at times a slog to sit through.
Yeah.
But just another brief, they got touring members Trent Reznor. They have other albums that are a lot more dancey pop that they did in like the mid 2000s, which are really good. That featured Jello Biafra from the Dead Kennedys and Lard.
Oh, that's awesome.
Gibby Haynes from Butthole Surfers, and it's more palatable than this. This is probably like 100% pure Revolting Cox, and I think that's why a lot of people are not completely on board with it.
Yeah, this was a hard one. It's very difficult for me to say that it's an easy one. It just was difficult as fuck. I mean, Get Down did have Bruce Campbell sampled on it, which was all right, but at the same time, I was like, wow, this reminded me of if Lou Reed, going back to some of our other work here, this reminded me of like Metal Machine music. If Lou Reed was like, I'm gonna try and make songs out of these things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really reminiscent of what it was.
Yeah, and I think even on that review, I said industrial music owes a lot to that album. Well, here's their tribute back.
Right.
Yeah, and it's tough, but let's talk about the songs that work.
So
There's not going to be a whole lot. I mean, I like songs on this. It's just it's not a home run album.
No, so title track, Beer, Steers, and Queers, right? Yep. I mean, we're at to say what the album track is. I have to put it up there. So let's just get that out of the way.
Let's talk about that because because this stands out when you listen to it compared to the rest of the songs, and I think it has elements of melody to it. Mm-hmm. It has elements of hip hop to it, which was like throwing another element. Sampling, record scratches, and it was funny. It's a funny track that you can understand the lyrics to. Yes,
and it's satire, right? Yeah. And that's what got me was the satire, that you could understand it. Yeah, I mean, this reminded me of like almost something we're going to be going back to doing, which is an album that I'm going to pick next. So I'm not going to say what it is, but like now let's just drop them pants. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're sing here. A redneck asswipe who think he's great, so full of shit, diarrhea for fingers. Everywhere I go, personality lingers. And
I think like. It starts with like two Southerners talking on the phone.
Yep.
Not knowing what they're getting themselves into. Mm-hmm. They think it's either going to be like a male strip show or like something. And you got like this almost like sounds like a female preacher, Southern preacher, saying this is out of the house and out of the house music. And it's like it's got these elements that work for it, and you really go and think this is going to be like interesting because if they can sustain this, and it doesn't.
No, it doesn't, and like I said, it drops off real quick with the cover of I mean, can you call it a cover? I guess you could call it a cover.
Well, legally, I think they got sued for it. Originally, they were going to consider it a cover, but the lyrics were so close to the original that they had to give Olivia Newton-John a songwriting credit.
A songwriting credit.
I think they got threatened with a lawsuit.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. I don't know if I would agree that the lawsuit should have won, but okay. No, like I think this is good. The opening track, and I really wish it would have stayed on that note. I believe if I see a lot of it bleed together. Stainless steel providers isn't bad. That's not a bad one.
Yeah, I like that. Like I put that on mixes every now and then.
Yep.
And I think in the neck sometimes I think that's I'm a killing machine. At least that has like semblance of a hook to it.
it does. Now I listened to the original album version, not the 2004 reissue, by the way.
Yeah.
So I just want to make that clear. I know there's other stuff that were on that one. I believe the last track, Razor's Edge, wasn't bad either.
Yeah. No, that wasn't bad.
But for the most part of it, like I said, I kept having First of all, I kept thinking of, okay, this is his retribution for Lindsey Buckingham. I mean, I listened to it several times, but the thing that got to me was the repetition and like, you know, when I think of industrial, like the highlight of industrial, like my favorite industrial album is the Crow soundtrack. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's debatable. I wouldn't call that an industrial album. I think that's an album that has like a few industrial songs on it.
It has several industrial songs on it. Yes, I mean,
there's 9 Inch Nails and Thrill Kill Cult, I guess.
Well, I could have sworn that there was a few more that I would consider would consider industrial on that album. But besides the point. Like nothing. I get, a lot of people, they get hung up. Oh my God, 9 Inch Nails. That's it's the peak, it's the pinnacle, but it's not all what it is. There was just this droning noise that was behind all of it. Yeah. That I was really, it just kept taking me out of some of the songs, where I was like, oh my God, just if you could get rid of that noise, you could do industrial without that fucking noise.
Yeah, you don't need to make it feel like you're having a drill in your head the whole time.
Yeah, and that's what it was.
One of my biggest, well, besides the repetition, because like it after a while, it's a 5-minute song, it's looping just the same beats and all that. Is the drums are so tinny. Like this kind of goes back to that. What was it? That Blessed Are the Wicked.
Blessed Are the Wicked album.
Yeah, where the drumming it .
No, blessed are the sick. Blessed are the sick.
Blessed are the sick. If you're gonna have like something like that's gonna be like this metallic and this gives the drums some depth. They sound so tinny on here. But again, this album doesn't give anything space to breathe.
No, and that's the other thing. There's no space, right? And you and I have talked about how space is very important. Yep. I mean, and back to the drums. Yeah, I was having Lars flashbacks. Like I was just picturing Lars sitting back there going, God damn it.
That's how Lars goes.
You little fucking
that's also how Gilmer plays the guitar. Like,
no, it was one of those things where I just kind of picture Lars like being a dick, like having a fuck Napster shirt on while he's banging on these fucking tinny drums. And I'm going, no, you're right. The key to good industrial, which is what I believe is what Trent Reznor has kind of found out, is that, and there's several others, but I just keep going back to Trent right now.
Well, KMFDM.
Yes, thank you. KDFDM they allow for breath. They've learned that there can be space in industrial, and if there's going to be a tinny here, they're going to put in something that's bassy over here to balance that out. And I didn't feel like that this was. It came down to the equalization. I just didn't feel like this was equalized very well. Very much like And Justice for All, which is a great album, but it suffered from equalize. It suffered.
Well, it also lacks bass.
Yeah.
Seriously, check out the mix and Justice for Jason. It sounds so much better.
It's so good. And I actually just read an interview moving to that, which is that he's finally now, Jason Newsted's finally coming out now and saying, yeah, I was pissed when I first heard that album. Of course I was pissed. Do I need to say it? And we're like, yeah, of course you were pissed. The rest of us were pissed.
Yeah, they did that reissue box set for that a few years ago, and I was excited because I was like, please, you guys have fucking cleaned up all the other albums. They sound phenomenal. Put the bass back in Injustice, and they didn't. And I was just like, I was literally considered buying, a $100 box set of Metallica because I love that album. They didn't, so they didn't get my money.
No. And again, it's sick that a fan has to come out and fix it. But we've digressed. I mean, for this one, yeah. I mean, from my point of view, I would put Beer, Steers, and Queers. I would put Get Down, and I put Get Down, Stainless Steel Providers, and Razor's Edge. Which, when you look at it, I like half the album. It's not a long album.
No. Again, this is something I kind of always wanted to go back to an album from my youth and see if it holds up. Mm-hmm. And I'm on the same page as you. Maybe half holds up still. The title track I still love. And if you listen to the remix, the intro is swapped out with the rape scene from Deliverance.
Oh my God, that's genius. I'll have to listen to the reissue.
Yeah. It's just poor Ned Beatty, man.
He'll never get over that. Ned Beatty will never get it. He was in Superman. Do you remember that? No. Do you remember Deliverance? Fuck yeah, you do.
Oh, he had the greatest speech in Network.
That's
right.
He's
talking about, petrodollars and basically predicting how our economy exists today.
That's right. Network was such an underrated movie.
I fucking love that movie. When he died, I think it was this summer. Everything's a blur since Voldemort, but
it's so bad, isn't it?
But I was just like, you just watch it because he's not considered, he's like a good character actor, but that scene, fucking just Oscar. Just give him all the Oscars, man.
Did he get nominated?
Let me look that up.
Yeah, I know, guys. I know. We're going way off base here, but
it's all right. It's a short album.
Yep. Oh, it's a very short album. But yeah, I would say. I mean, would I recommend? As you're looking it up, let me see here. Would I recommend the album? Yeah. I mean, I would. I have to give this a recommend. I mean, it's different. I think more people need to hear it than just me, Joe, and Joe.
And one of us is dead, so.
Yeah. That's a true statement.
He was nominated for that scene, and that's the only scene he's in, and it's only 5 minutes long. So he got Best Supporting Actor nomination for a 5-minute scene.
Wow.
So if you want to see great acting people, look up Ned Beatty's speech Network on YouTube. You don't even need the context of the scene because he just fucking sells it.
Ned Beatty was an underrated character actor, hands down.
Yeah. Him and Dennehy, which, I already have enough gripes with you.
Wait a minute. Dennehy got title roles, though, so we can't really say he was a character actor, can we?
Title role? Brian Dennehy was the epitome of a character actor. A fat guy who normally played a cop.
Okay, he was typecast, but he played several roles where it was Brian Dennehy led vehicle. So,
all right, Paul. Since we have time and no Google, tell me about these amazing Dennehy led movies.
Well,
no Google.
I can't without Google.
All right.
I can't. I would need Google. But I'm telling you, Dennehy has some title, especially in the 70s and 80s. He had some title roles. I
mean, he was good as the veteran hating cop in Rambo.
Well, he was, but remember, he was also in Cocoon. He was in Cocoon.
Was he? I always thought that was Wilford Brimley.
Well, Wilford Brimley was also in Cocoon, but Brian Dennehy was in Cocoon.
I'm going to take. We're going to agree to disagree on Brian Dennehy and Cocoon.
Well, we could agree to disagree with Dennehy and Cocoon. Maybe you and I should do a Cast That movie and do a Cocoon.
Man, that would mean I'd have to watch that piece of shit. I already watch enough bad movies for the Joedown.
Yeah, speaking of bad movies for the Joedown, what do you guys have coming up? Because now
I didn't give my recommendation.
Oh yes, I'm sorry.
You rushed me.
I rushed you, Joe. What's your recommendation?
I would say yes to half the album. I think there was a lot of potential with the title track, and if they kept up that spacing that one had, with the more less distorted vocals, more air to breathe with the instruments and sampling, I think this would have been a stronger album. So I'd say half of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree 100% with that. I can't disagree with you. I mean, that's exactly what I said. So, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. All right. Now let's go to the Joedown because I'm excited. What do you guys got going on with the Joedown?
Well, we just released our review of The Wizard.
Oh my God, you guys!
100-minute Nintendo commercial.
Dude, the 100-minute commercial. I loved that movie. The Power Glove. It's so bad, dude.
It's so terrible. Bad. It's the most. I go off on it in the review because I had a buddy who had one. The fucking thing never worked.
It never worked. I had one. It never worked.
It's up there with the Power Pad and Virtual Boy as Nintendo's why? Why does this exist?
Oh, no. Don't forget there was the Rock and Roller. Oh, do you remember the Rock and Roller?
I'll look it up.
Okay,
what was so bad I blacked it out.
You probably did, but remember that toy? Okay, in the 80s, we had toys that would kill you. And remember there was that ball that had the little had a little pad that you could stand on and you put it between your feet and you would bounce. What the fuck was that thing called? But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it was that, but it didn't bounce. Instead, you stood on it, and that's how you played the game.
That just sounds like you're going to break the TV, your neck, and the NES system.
Oh, it was a terrible, terrible idea. Yeah, the Rock and Roller is what it was called.
Wow. Yeah, Nintendo, man, just the GameCube, where you could burn the games. Just such oversight on such.
But remember, it had that Nintendo quality seal of approval, sir.
I do own a Switch, but I mostly play old Nintendo games on it.
That's what I've been doing. I've been playing Super Mario on my wife's Switch. That's what I've been doing.
Nice. Oh, yeah. I've been playing that and Super Punch-Out, which is fun.
Super Metroid. Punch-Out's fun. They got some bad games though, man. I like some of those game choices. I was like, why the fuck did you include this? Oh yeah, because you're Nintendo.
Yeah, licensing too is a big thing. So their big sellers is the Marios, and everything else is owned by other companies. So what can you do? And then so our next review for the Joedown, and I'm sure you're gonna like this, Paul, because I'm going back to. Because I love this filmmaker. We're going back to John Carpenter. We're doing Assault on Precinct 13.
Yes, the original?
Yeah, of course.
Yes. I
got my classic movie kicks.
No, that's good. I was just going to see if you're going to make Joe watch the reboot, and I was going to be like, ha, 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 ha.
Go down the road he will, but
just have me on a snare drum.
I've been on an old movie kick lately. We did Westworld. That was a good movie.
So good.
And I'm slogging through season 3 of that, and it's that show had so much promise, and it just shit the bed, man. It's unwatchable. I get through a half an episode, I'm like, I can't do this. It's just exhausting how convoluted it is.
Speaking of that, there's something that I tried because I love on Netflix was the first 3 seasons of Slasher, which is a great show on Netflix, but it got moved to Shudder. And I was watching the new episodes, the fourth season of it, and the first two episodes, I was like, all right, this is going somewhere. And now the last two episodes that they posted, I'm like, I get through half of it, and I'm like, I don't want to continue, which sucks because I've loved all the seasons so far.
Yeah, I'm usually a completist. If I start a series and go X amount of episodes, I'm usually, even if I don't like it, I won't stop. Westworld tested me, and I got halfway through the second to last episode, and I was like, you know what, fuck this. Like, if I'm not enjoying it, what am I doing? Like, This is just torture. I'm 40. God damn it. I don't need to be putting up with this malarkey anymore.
I'm 40. I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Yeah, that's what we have going for the Joe Down, Paul. What do you got going?
I got this going on. Really, this has become the bread and butter of it. We're getting caught up big time. So this is now part of season 2 that everyone is listening to. Season 2 of Rate That Album, just because of the length of time it took me to get everything up. But every other day now, I've been posting an episode, getting us caught up to where we are right now.
Nice. Yeah, it's. We're getting some good feedback. Joe Brown really enjoyed your belated fuck for the same hanger.
Oh, it was so tough.
I think he was happy that somebody else feels his pain when it comes to me making choices.
Yeah, no, it's been tough. All right, Joe, I'm gonna give you a choice for my next pick here. All right. I want you to pick either modern or classic.
Is there something in between those that I could pick?
Nope. We're either going modern or we're going old school.
You know what? I'm going to go modern.
Okay, you're going to go modern. All right, then our next album is going to be from the 1975 called Notes on a Conditional Form. It is from the band the 1975, and it just came out in May of 2020.
1975.
It's the band's 4th consecutive album to reach number 1 on the UK album charts, reaching number 1 in Australia and number 4 in the United States, which, if you didn't know about it, how did it reach number 4 in the United States?
I saw them on Saturday Night Live like a few years ago.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do one of their albums there, their 2020 release, Notes on a Conditional Form.
Splendid.
Yep. So that's why that's your modern pick. This is a band that is universally acclaimed and loved, and we're gonna, for their pop sensibilities, and you and I are gonna decide whether or not it's any good. Now, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I've not heard it. They have one song of theirs that I really, really enjoyed, and then I came across this album, and I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna listen to a new album, I'm gonna do it for Rate That Album.
Yeah. Hey, why not? By the way, what was the classic pick gonna be?
You'll find out next time. You'll find out my next turn.
Yeah.
Because I'm still gonna do it.
Wow. All right.
I'd be happy to tell you off air than I will on air. How's that?
Paul, you're turning me into a killing machine.
Joe Fred.